Hello everyone, and welcome to My Hero Academia One's Justice review. This review may seem a bit different than others you'll find, but that's because there's a lot I want to cover after my 50 plus hours of gameplay. I want to elaborate on how the game feels, is it fun to play, and is the content enough to warrant $60? With that all being said, let's start with the content first. I'm going to be brutally honest, story mode sucks. It's boring, forgettable, and lacking the one thing that would make it decent: 3D cutscenes. The presentation is pretty decent with the dynamic comic panels making the anime stock images presentable, but at the end of the day, it's just anime stock images. We couldn't even get cool manga panels, which I don't know would fit the aesthetic much more than anime stock images, or at least add some 3D cutscenes into the mix. We only get a handful of them, and most of them are trapped behind these weird comic panels for the comic book presentation, and it just looks awkward. And that isn't all, it's how painfully easy it is to run through the story mode. It took me a whopping hour to unlock all the gear, and in all fairness, it has some neat unlockables after you beat the hero and villain side, which gives you a free third story, but for the payout, it's just not really worth it. And that's not even the end of it. The AI for each fight is utterly abysmal. They run into walls constantly, they don't put up anything close to a fight, and it just feels like a slog and a waste of time. The only reason why I finished it was because I wanted to unlock All For One. This really sucks, as I wanted the villain side to add a tiny bit more flavor, and I mean, to the game's credit, it adds a little bit with a couple what if scenarios, which I will not spoil here. And if you're a diehard MHA fan and want to see some cool interactions and what if scenarios with the villains, then yeah, at least you'll get that for a couple of minutes. So that's cool. You got some decent content for some what if scenarios, and if you're a fan of that kind of thing happening, then you're going to be satisfied here. I would skip the story mode if it wasn't for the fact All For One was an unlockable character, and some of the bonus gear is honestly kind of cool. Thankfully, the game features a pretty robust arcade mode. Since the game is centered around unlocking all the 100 plus customizable gear, icons, and costumes, you know, the whole works. One's Justice offers a mission mode with a variety of challenge maps ranging from generic beat the bad guy, win the map, to missions where characters slowly lose health over time, short time battles, and things like that. This gives a bit of variety. The story mode was extremely lacking. This mode also offers daily mission rewards that you can gain depending on how well you play the game, and you can do a little daily map routine and kind of get some free items. This is great because it plays on the game's strengths of having a fun gacha style mode to keep unlocking content and keep the gameplay fresh. Speaking of the game being fresh, let's talk about that gameplay. Oh boy, you're gonna be a tiny bit shocked with how I phrase this, but it's actually pretty fun, surprisingly. Recently, fighting games have been on this trend where they all kind of have one auto combo starter and the other buttons are used to extend. Games like Dragon Ball FighterZ, BlazBlue Cross Tag, heck, even Under Night In-Birth has a system allowing for manual and auto combos to interject. Even games like Persona 4 Arena, it's just something anime fighters have been doing, and it's become a bit more mainstream and honestly a bit more simplified. And thankfully, an anime arena fighter has taken this mindset and adopted it into the game. This is simply addicting, just like the other games I've mentioned. It's simple yet complex. The key to all combos isn't just a mashing fest anymore, it's timing and setting up your attacks. Whether it be traps, zoning out opponents, or keeping air juggles, all of these systems work together. The game gives everyone 4 buttons to use: 1 target attack, which is your target combo, 2 quick buttons, and a dash. You have 3 special moves. 1 is your standard level 1, quick, flashy, to the point. Your level 2 is your big cinematic special, and your level 3 is your sidekick plus ultra, where all the characters come onto stage and perform their level 1 supers. The quirk moves help the game shine. The quirk attacks allow the usage of quirks. Duh. The best part about this is how it's not just one button press, but they allow different variations of said quirk. Tilting up on the stick akin to a smash attack may give you Todoroki's ice attack rather than fire. Holding Izuku Detroit's smash down will give him a charged fireball. The list goes on. This is a neat system because it keeps combos and gameplay fresh and adds a little bit of strategy. There's a lot more variety in attacks thanks to the quirk system, and it keeps the game from getting stale and becoming a mash one button fest. The dash cancel system is another neat touch. Pressing the dash button anytime during a combo allows you to dash in and extend combos or follow up after launchers, similar to chase mechanics in other fighting games, once again like Dragon Ball FighterZ, or jump canceling in like BlazBlue Cross Tag, or even Under Night In-Birth. This system gets really crazy, and you can find a lot of cool aerial juggles and loops, all thanks to this mechanic. And to cap things off, the sidekick system is really fun to mess around with. You get 2 sidekick or supporting characters to help you during fights, and it just works out really well, each with their own unique quirk and movement, and it just feels clean. What I love to add is how the combat really allows you to keep away against zoners and things of that nature. A lot of people complain about getting zoned out in this game for the people that have played, but there's actually a lot of tools to help you get in on zoners and punish them, which a lot of arena fighters don't have. Moves like emergency action to break through Kirishima's hardening, any red attack or grab will do. It instantly snuffs them out of it, also allowing for a free combo. Moves like super armor to move in on people who like Todoroki, spamming ice attacks and fire, and it just really has a lot of systems to let you get in and punish your opponent. Even moves like Jiro's boombox snuffs out a majority of ranged attacks and even makes her kind of a zoner but a zoney at the same time. It's an interesting take on the gameplay mechanics, and they just added a lot of features so people don't get too frustrated, and that's honestly what I like about it. It's just all about utilizing those features so you don't get punished accordingly, and that's something they really thought about ahead of time, and I can applaud that. I also love how the game really rewards manual combo play, allowing us to extend our own combos and make up kind of exactly how we want to play our character and extend with our assist, and that's another thing that's great. There's a variety of ways to extend depending on what assist you have, and it's just really interesting to kind of pull off the gameplay you want to pull off, and that's really fun. I like a lot of what they had to do here and didn't just rely on simple auto combo strings for literally everyone where you can just mash Y and all the dash canceling's handled for you. Now there is a mode for that, but it's not as effective. The damage isn't as damaging as you can get with the manual combo, and it just makes you look like you're kind of flailing around because you constantly need to home in on your opponent to get anything done. You can't really freeform after your quirk or anything like that because everything is being used up by that auto combo string. Whereas on manual mode you can freeform, make your own thing, and just feel a little bit more clean, and there's more buttons to press in time than just Y. So I like what they did with the combat here. I like the sidekick system. I like how everything feels clean and the combat is just rewarding. That being said, I do have some gripes with it. For example, the game can get a little bit floaty at times, especially on ring out stages where you're constantly kind of getting juggled in air by a variety of enemy projectiles in all honesty, and it can get super frustrating. This really only happens on the ring out stages, but other than that, it's not too bad. The wall running can get a little bit cumbersome, not going to lie, but the controls don't become reversed or flipped or mirrored or anything of that nature. It just stays the same, and I kind of like the look of it. It's a little bit janky, goofy, and funny, and I guess I just kind of like that charm because it feels like an old school anime game where they just kind of threw everything out the wall and made to see if it sticked or not, and it just kind of fits. I don't know, I like it. It's alright. It's nothing too crazy because the camera angle does a pretty decent job of keeping up. Speaking of camera angles, it does get a bit wobbly at times, especially when you're up against walls or corners, and it just kind of doesn't know what to focus on with all the attacks going on, so it does have to definitely hold an L for that. It gets a little bit janky, but other than that, the game does a really good job of keeping everything fun, balanced, and just entertaining, so I'm definitely gonna have to give the combat a pretty good thumbs up. The presentation is also really solid. I love all the unlockable costumes and items you can get through playing through mission mode, story, and of course just doing online matches. Player icons, player cards, all of that stuff is really nice to unlock, and it gives this feeling of a gacha mobile game where it's just you keep playing and playing to unlock a bunch of things, and it's all really satisfying things to really just deck out your MHA toolkit. What's also great about this is there's no microtransactions, so it really feels rewarding to just know that your playstyle is doing really well, or you're just playing a lot with the game and learning the game a lot, and you're just unlocking a lot of cool unlockables from that, which is dope. I just like that mechanic of it, and I like really what they've been doing with how they're just gradually allowing you to unlock customizable options just through playing really well at the game rather than spending a lot of money on it like a gacha game. So it has that addictive daily reward kind of feel where you can kind of get in, get your daily dose of MHA, and then kind of dip for the day. So yeah, MHA's One's Justice is pretty clean. The graphics on the Nintendo Switch version I'm playing on is actually not too shabby. Runs a decent 1280 720p, nothing crazy going on here. It runs pretty well, has a couple frame drops here and there during big explosions or way too much stuff going on the screen, which is kind of what you see coming on the Switch, but hey, it runs fine, especially in handheld mode. Surprisingly, it runs really well there, and I'm genuinely shocked that it runs so well in handheld mode. I like MHA's One's Justice a lot. I think the game's pretty cool. I think the graphics look nice. I like the art style, and I really like what they did with the presentation, with like the comic book words coming out of each attack and things like that. I like what they've done with the game. There's a lot of cool things going for it, but can I recommend it if you're not an MHA fan? I mean, that's where it always kind of boils down to. Even games like Dragon Ball FighterZ, I can't really recommend unless you're a die-hard either anime fan or MHA fan or Dragon Ball fan in this other regard. I think it's a really good game and it has good stuff going for an anime 3D arena fighter with a lot of cool neat mechanics, but unless you're an MHA fan, I don't think you're going to get much enjoyment out of the game. It's going to get kind of boring and stale in a really quick amount of time, especially if you don't want to put the time in to learn everything. Now, if you're just looking for a cool new fighting game to pick up and you just happen to check this one out, then I recommend checking it out. It's got a lot of of neat stuff that Dragon Ball FighterZ and BlazBlue Cross Tag kind of do. So it's very simple, but it's also addicting to kind of figure out what mechanics work and which characters tick and all of that jazz. So in that regard, I do recommend the game if you want to learn a new fighting game, if you're an MHA fan or anything of that nature. But if those kind of aren't your forte, then just wait for this one to go on discount. And even MHA fans, it's October 26th when it drops over here in America. Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out the same day. I'm gonna keep it real with you, Chief. Wait for this one to come around to $40 on discount, as it usually does during those Christmas sales, and then pick the game up, and then you're gonna have a blast and all that jazz. I recommend this game on discount. That's the best way I could put it. It's a solid like 7 out of 10 if I had to give it a rating if you're not an MHA fan. And if you are an MHA fan, I could move it up to about an 8 just for some of the cool story mode tidbits and just the fact that the gameplay is at least solid. With that all being said, I'm Young Falcon signing out. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Go ahead and drop a like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.